Hi, you're listening to Philip Mollica's Consciousness Evolution. I'm Philip Mollica. You can find us on Substack at Philip Mollica's Consciousness Evolution. And if you subscribe there, we will send you all our articles, columns, videos, podcasts as they are released. Like, share, subscribe. We appreciate the feedback and would love to hear from you. Today's column is One Step Forward, Two Steps Back. Now fly. With all the unrest, wars, refugees, and apparent dissociation of our elected and unelected governments, it is easy to believe that our world is going to hell in a handbasket. Fears of nuclear war, rampant crime, growing homeless populations, and intercontinental strife dominate our headlines. The Ukraine war, the Israeli genocide, government-sponsored propaganda and censorship, runaway inflation, the disintegration and division of people into the haves and have-nots of wealthy and poor, have all served to divide the world's population and set us against each other. Instead of a unified humanity which approaches our world in cooperation and collaboration, we have devolved into tribes which increasingly threaten each other's peace and well-being. This development is nurtured and stoked by elites and governments which strive to maintain power and authority in the face of a population who is increasingly able to see through such tactics and are beginning to demand responsibility from these institutions, while at the same time recognizing the interconnection of all of humanity. There are reasons that things appear the way they do. This is all part of a larger movement of consciousness that is taking place. That movement is the shift. The shift, at its core, is the remembrance of ourselves as essence. Essence being our true form as beings of energy, which have created focuses of attention in a physical reality to experience ourselves as separate. For millennia, we have exercised these focuses, lives, to gain experience of living physically as separate beings. Let's go back a little bit, a lot, to see how we got here, and then we will look at where this is going. Humanity begins as essence, energetic beings emanating from, quote, the creating universal one and whole, unquote, or God if you wish. But the creating universal one and whole is not a being, but an action. And of this creating universal one and whole, essence is the portion that chose to express itself as humanity. Therefore, I will refer to essence as we, or us, since this is what we are. In order to accomplish this, we developed a physical universe, infinite physical universes to be accurate, but I will focus our discussion on this one that we are familiar with presently for our purposes. All of it had to be developed and tested, so to speak, before we could exercise physical existence. We did that. Our ancestors, the dreamwalkers, who were at various times physical and non-physical, or both, all took part in development of all aspects of our physical world. From nature to planets to laws of physics to humans themselves, we oversaw development of a physical environment in which we could experience ourselves as human. To have an unadulterated experience as separate humans, we had to incorporate an amnesia of sorts in which we have hidden from ourselves our true nature as essence. That knowledge has always been kept alive in various forms, but is not widely recognized until now. When we were satisfied that all requirements had been met, we flipped the switch on and our universe was born seemingly out of thin air. Many civilizations have come and gone. Earth has blinked in and out of existence many times. In our current state, We are unaware of these nuances to our universe and existence. I am, of course, oversimplifying these developments because each of them is a discussion in and of themselves. In our current state of awareness, we do not yet understand simultaneous time or our true nature as energetic beings, so much of this will not make sense without a certain amount of imagination and concession on the part of the reader. So once the earth was formed and humanity began to grace the earth, we have each, through our essence, incorporated hundreds, if not thousands, of focuses of attention, lives, in order to garner as much experience of physical life as humans as possible. We each have an essence. Our essence serves us in all of the other focuses related to our particular essence. We are our essence, but we also share that essence with all of our other focuses, which are also us. Essence combines with physical elements of the earth to give us these physical bodies. These bodies are not merely meat sacks, but also possess a body consciousness that combines with our subjective awareness to allow us an objective awareness which we know as our life, birth to death. In the course of our manifestational cycle, we have all been everything: male, female, other, rich, poor, young, old, every possible combination necessary to gather experience in the terms that our essence, us, has deemed important to our overall development. We have at this point been through many blinks in and out of existence along with our planet. This most recent blink-in has seen us more or less exhaust the final nuances of our physical existence. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. To put it rather bluntly, we have jumped the shark and become bored. Like the 6th season of a Netflix series, we plumb just run out of good ideas to explore. So in our wisdom and desire to see continued growth, and having gathered as much information about ourselves as we could squeeze out of a multitude of physical manifestations, we made a determination for a new direction in which we would institute the shift, the remembrance, to know ourselves once again as essence, but this time while remaining physical. So in keeping with our determination around the turn of the 20th century, we embarked on the subjective portion of the shift. We would spend the last century basically putting in place all the necessary components which would assist us in our remembrance. Then, at the top of the 21st century, the top of this century, we undertook this master source event in earnest and began the objective insertion of the shift. The actual physical insertion of the remembrance into our physical reality. A feat unparalleled in consciousness, energetic beings becoming fully physical with all of our awareness, abilities, and knowledge intact. There is no overstating the importance, breadth, and sheer magnitude of this historic event. We were successful, and the shift was accomplished. What we are doing now is coming to terms with the remembrance. We are, each of us, shifting. Though the shift, the remembrance, was successful and accomplished, now we are in the process of remembering. This process will be completed somewhere around the second half of this century. Some sages have placed it around 2075. This means that basically over the next 5 decades, humanity and our world, our dimension, will change to the point of being unrecognizable. Life on Earth, while not utopian, will certainly seem so in comparison to what we are experiencing now. Our powers and abilities as shifted beings, as essence and physical form, are almost unimaginable. One of the core tenets of the shift is to recognize that we create all of our reality through our perception. We have always done so, but we do it so naturally and easily that we don't even recognize that we do. As shifted beings, essence and physical form, we will recognize this ability and will be able to wield it consciously. Life as we know it, the struggle, the fear, the separation, will become a thing of the past. We will revel in our newfound awareness and ability. Now, back to today. If all of this is true, then we have a seemingly impossible task over the next 50 years to bring awareness of ourselves as essence to our daily lives and to begin to live and act like the incredible beings that we are. Everything is going to change, and 50 years is a bodaciously tiny period of time in which this is all going to occur. Think about it. A child born today will find themselves in a completely shifted world by the time they are middle-aged. So what does this mean to us today as we cast our attention out into the world? We could institute a cataclysm, an event of such magnitude as to wipe us all off the face of the earth until the next blink-in, for which we would all be shifted, starting off with our remembrance. But where's the fun in that? Much more challenging and rewarding to get from here to there, I would say. We have not yet chosen this type of catastrophe, and indications are that we won't, though it certainly looks pretty dicey at times, especially given the way in which some of our governments and elites are acting like complete and utter assholes with no regard for humanity. I hope that we don't go about it that way. It would steal from us the satisfaction of accomplishing it from within, not without. So the point of all of this is that as we see everything that is appearing to go wrong or poorly in our world, it is happening because of the shift, the remembrance. There are a multitude of things that we have never addressed to that must be as we progress. At the top of that list is the value of the individual, that each and every person has inherent value regardless of their stats, regardless of their race, skin color, religion, social standing, economics, or location, regardless of their expression. Second on that list is what all wars are fought over: land. Countries, borders, resources, ownership, all of these things must be reconsidered in light of the remembrance. I don't know what that means or what it's going to look like, but it must be done if we are to share our earth cooperatively and collaboratively with all of humanity. Next, what we are addressing to right now, as expressed by the energetic essence Elias, is, quote, the terribleness of differences, end quote. We don't yet know how to be accepting of expressions which are different than our own. We can barely accept and get along with our so-called loved ones, much less people with considerably different beliefs and expressions to our own. Our various belief systems will all need to be addressed to. Our self-identities all will need to be assessed and reconsidered in light of what our shifted world will look like. Besides understanding and exercising consciously our ability to create all of our reality, we also will be interacting with other beings of both physical and non-physical natures. This means beings from other dimensions than our own. This also means beings who we would consider dead, or more emphatically, non-physical beings. Eventually, we will begin traveling with our consciousness to other worlds, both extraterrestrial and interdimensionally. If we have trouble accepting the expressions of our loved ones and neighbors, or people on the other side of the world, what are we going to do with beings whose expression is not even native to our dimension? We better have a pretty solid grip on who and what we are and our own beliefs and expressions, or we will be ill-equipped to entertain any such off-world expressions. All of this is to say that what we are experiencing now in the upset and unrest in our world is the shaking apart at the seams, old ways, and old guard. It must be in order for us to continue shifting and widening our awareness as we assimilate our remembrance. I see wonderful signs everywhere amongst the strife and anger, amongst the terribleness of differences, that indicate a coming together of mankind in which we are demanding of ourselves and each other to address to these ancient chinks in our armor. We are demanding of our institutions to become more responsible, and we are accepting that we are our own authorities, no longer satisfied to abdicate our responsibility to others who may or may not have our best interests. Everything that is happening now is positive movement toward these ends. So although they appear jagged and jarring, we can now clearly see where our problems lie and what must be addressed to by us as humanity in order to see our continued growth as a species and as essence expressing physically on Earth. Let us see each other with new eyes. Let us find acceptance of our differences and celebrate those instead of seeing them as divisions. The shift has occurred. There is no turning back. Our choice now is to do it the easy way or do it the hard way. We cannot force anyone to do anything they don't wish to do. We can, however, be the example that we wish to see, to be the light for others to find, to practice acceptance. Do not be fooled into believing that all is lost. These are just the fits and starts of the remembrance. It all starts with ourselves, and that is enough. Thank you for listening to Philip Mollica's Consciousness Evolution. You'll find us on Substack. Please subscribe, like, comment, share. See you next time.